Lauren, co-peer publisher and CEO at CEOinsight.com, and I'm bringing you a 3 questions video interview today with a special guest. I'm super excited to have this conversation. Joining me today is Carola Taylor, the Senior Marketing Manager and co-owner at PixelSpoke. I'm really excited about our conversation. Carola, thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, we've got a lot to talk about today. PixelSpoke initially designs websites for credit unions, but a lot of your CEO Insight articles, and there have been a number of them over the years, a lot of those articles have really focused on the intersection between credit unions and social impact. And so I want to start off with this question. Why is that a focus for you, the social impact side?
Absolutely. I mean, I would say first and foremost, we are a very social impact oriented company ourselves. We truly believe that business can and should be a force for good. So we've actually been a B Corp since 2014. That means that we answer to this triple bottom line of people, profit, and planet. And we were so inspired by the cooperative model that we were seeing at credit unions that we ourselves actually transitioned to being a worker-owned cooperative in 2020. I was very excited to become a co-owner myself at the end of last year. And we just love the idea of the people who are, most invested in the company, whether that's the workers or the members, really having a say when it comes to the direction of that company. So I'd say that as a business committed to social impact, we just love it when we see credit unions out there truly living the cooperative principles and contributing to their own communities in positive ways. I mean, I know myself, it can be really easy to just get caught up in the day-to-day responsibilities and my individual task list, trying to check things off and sometimes lose sight of that larger picture. And that's part of our goal, I'd say, through things like the articles that we contribute to CU Insight and the monthly podcasts that we do. We just really like to take a step back, and we like to tackle topics like economic justice and what that means, or opportunities in climate finance, or inclusive website design, which I might talk about a little bit later. But yeah, there's just so much out there. And our hope is really to inspire other credit unions to reconnect with their core purpose, maybe to explore some new opportunities for reaching and helping underserved populations. And honestly, at the end of the day, just feel really good about what they do. We just are so invested in this movement, and we think everyone involved in it should feel really good about it.
Absolutely. Well, that's an amazing answer to that question. And I think you hit the nail right on the head there with the social impact that's really tied into the mission of credit unions. And it's so cool to hear about the work you all do as a B Corp and a worker-owned cooperative. Really, really exciting. You mentioned the principles of inclusive design, which I'm excited to hear more from you about, because I know one of your CU Insight articles was all about that. I loved that one too. And then you had a recent article that posed the question, can credit unions and vendors be BFFs? And so I'm curious, and we'll link to this article on CU Insight for anyone who's interested in reading it, but how did you answer that question? Can credit unions and vendors be BFFs?
Well, our short answer was yes. And I think we might be using BFF in a slightly different way than, say, my preteen daughter. But we are just incredibly committed to bringing a partnership mentality to everything we do. And our CEO, Cameron Medell, he shares a story of one of the first credit union conferences he ever went to back when we were not really in the industry and just kind of exploring it as a potential opportunity. And he was walking around this conference, and people who he met kept referring to PixelSpoke as a vendor when he described what it was that we did. And he just really didn't like that term. It really didn't sit well with him. There's something about it that seems transactional, kind of one-sided, like a credit union has a need and we just fulfill it, but there's not much else going on. And when we redesign a credit union's website, we really are looking at the larger picture and the long-term relationship. It's really, we don't want it to be a one-off project. We love working with clients past the actual time that we launched the website, and we have some that we've been working with now for almost a decade, and we've redesigned their websites now multiple times. So when it comes to like what a partnership mentality actually means, I'd say it has a lot to do first and foremost with one of our core values here at PixelSpoke, which is everybody wins. So we are just always looking for ways to make things work, particularly when maybe we come up against a challenge, a perceived obstacle, a hiccup, a misunderstanding. We want it to work for everyone involved, and that includes us. We very much do not want to be that agency that's constantly over-promising and burning out its team members and making promises about being available at 1 a.m. on a Thursday. We want to make sure that what we're doing is working both for our team and for our core clients. We also hope that they will be honest with us when we disappoint them, because we can't fix a problem if we don't know it's there. And I know that can be hard. I've actually been on the other side of the table. I was a PixelSpoke client before I joined the team. And I certainly, there were some things that maybe I didn't fully understand at the onset of the project. And it really, if I didn't bring that to the table, that was on me, because there's no way they can solve a problem that they don't know exists. So, that definitely involves some hard conversations, but real relationships are about hard conversations. And we have another core value here at PixelSpoke: solutions, not blame. Which really is about talking about the hard things, but not getting hung up on who did what or whose fault is it, but just figuring out how we can move toward a solution. And then I would say one of the third things that characterizes a partnership mentality is just putting in the time, especially up front. I mean, if you talk to anyone who's been married, such as myself, you know that a marriage just does not work if you don't put the time into it. And some of that relationship building or expectation setting before an actual wedding, to extend the metaphors, that's some of the most critical time, because you want to make sure that you're just on the same page when you commit to a relationship together. So we actually have a fairly long and selective sales process. We're a somewhat unusual agency in that we've been known to turn clients away, because we don't want to make promises that we're not prepared to deliver on. And we want to make sure that we're just on the same page with our clients when it comes to expectations. So if we're feeling like, really a credit union is just looking for a vendor to knock out a website redesign, and that's what they want, that we might not be the right agency for them.
Absolutely. It's so interesting hearing all of the different values at PixelSpoke. And so I love your short answer is yes, but your long answer is that a credit union and a vendor maybe can be BFFs if it's the right fit for both parties. And so let's move into some more about website design then. So what are the main opportunities that you see when it comes to credit union website design?
Yes, there are a lot. I would say that one of the biggest challenges for websites or for credit union websites is encapsulating the personality of the credit union, just because it is a space where so many credit unions offer very similar products and services and kind of have similar missions. And that, can be really easy for all websites to end up looking and sounding kind of the same, particularly for an agency like ours, which is at this point almost exclusively focused on credit unions. So it could technically be really easy to just kind of, have some templates that we fall back on, slap on some colors and call it a new website. And we try so hard not to do that. We really want to push on a credit union's core why. Even though so many credit unions offer similar products and services, every credit union is also incredibly unique in its own way. So we just really want to find what that is and bring it to life. That can certainly include a color palette, a logo, a brand voice, but it's about more than that. It's about really capturing the essence of who the credit union is. So I'm just trying to think of some examples. It can look really different depending on the credit union. We have a client, Yumi, in Southern California, and they are an incredibly playful credit union. They have a mascot, which is a purple emu, which is Yumi backwards. And so we really, definitely wanted to bring those colors, their very bright color palette and their very playful tone of voice to life online. But we also, we're looking for ways, oh, can we like animate the emu in certain ways on pages as people scroll down, just ways to add that element of whimsy and delight that really got to the essence of who they are. Whereas for our other client, Clearwater, based in Montana, they are just incredibly committed to impact. And we decided that instead of the kind of normal website navigation that leads with products, that we would actually lead with impact in their main navigation and really bake that into how people visit the site. So there's lots of opportunities, but we're always trying to think of ways to differentiate credit unions online. And then one more thing I would add just to that question as far as opportunities in credit union website design is going back to that concept of inclusive design that I mentioned earlier. And what that means is really centering the needs of a credit union's most vulnerable members. Another word for that could be stress cases. So rather than focusing only on the sort of generic personas, which we do at PixelSpoke, you have retired Randy and Gen X Gwen and things like that. But I think those are important to think, who's your core membership, but I think it's equally important to think about who are your most vulnerable members, who are your most stressed out members. So as an example, you might not have members with disabilities as a target audience, but we all know credit union websites need to be ADA compliant. And I actually don't like that term because I like to think of compliance as more ADA compliance, less as a compliance thing and more as an opportunity. And there's so many ways to make the online experience better for everyone when you think about really centering the needs of a member who has disabilities. I mean, I'll never forget as a young mom who rarely had use of her hands because I was holding a baby all the time, I suddenly started using all these things I'd never used before, like voice to text or even when I was out in the world, I gained a whole new appreciation for sidewalks that were wheelchair accessible or, places of businesses that had ramps instead of stairs. So, I do not identify as someone with physical disabilities, but there was a time in my life when all of those things served me and made my own experience better. And that same mentality can certainly be extended online. I'll be honest, I'll say at PixelSpoke, we're really still trying to figure out how to work this into our process, but I definitely see this as an opportunity to explore.
Oh, so exciting. Well, I think I could just listen to you talk all day about credit union website design and all the different opportunities from inclusive design to social impact to be able to put into place there. But in the interest of time, I'm going to link to your website for PixelSpoke for anybody who's interested, your contact information, everything else we chatted about today, some of the articles that you've written. But really, really appreciate the time. I think there's so much opportunity out there, and it's so cool to hear about the work that PixelSpoke is doing as a part of the credit union community. So, Carola, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to hopefully getting to cross paths with you in person maybe sometime soon. And until then, I hope that you stay well and take care. And thanks to everybody for tuning in today.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks.